What's going on, everyone? Justin and Brandon here from Tracks and Sign, and this is our first truck talk. Truck talk. We just got done doing some fly fishing. Not much luck. We did catch one, but it was a small one. Not gonna go.
You caught one.
Yeah, I did catch one.
First one, Clinton River.
Yeah.
For the year.
For the year. First time out. Got some hiccups out of the way. But so we wanted to continue the conversation about deer and habitat management. The last or previous podcast, we talked a little bit about my property up in Oscoda, northern Michigan. Some of the ideas, experiences, thoughts that I have on what I've seen, what I want to do and accomplish. And so today I figured we'll put the pressure on Brandon here and pick his brain about his property down in Ohio. Sound good?
Yeah, let's do it.
So before we get going, because I have a list of questions for you, Brandon.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about what you currently have, your setup, what's currently going down in Ohio for you.
So there are we got a little bit of the property chopped off due to some sales, I guess, at the beginning of hunting season this year. But there's a little over 400 acres. It's surrounded primarily by a very small dirt road, and arguably not like a real road, but they call it a real road down there. And then there's a little creek bottom, and at some point in that creek bottom where it's divided, then there's a homesteader to the southwest part. Aside from that, I focus in on an area in the southwest corner of the property. And to put it in perspective, I've spoken about this a couple times prior to, but there's a gas line that runs sort of down the middle, and then it kind of veers to the northwest edge. Gas line all the way up and down the property though. And on the southern end of the access to the gas point is where I access my blind now. And so you go down there, you walk around up to the gas line, because it's a decent vertical increase there. And then and that's like almost the top of the property. You can continue going up further, maybe another, I don't know, 100 feet, something like that, far into the woods. But at my point, I access down probably 50 feet or so onto this bench, and then it drops another couple 100 feet down to the creek bottom. So on this bench, there's like call it 7,000 square foot, very small supplemental food plot. And on the south corner of it is where I hunt. It's also about 25 yards from a ridge line, or from the top of the ridge before it drops down the creek bottom, which I call the deer highway. And I found this spot about a year ago when we were shed hunting in February last year, and decided that was going to be my spot. So leading up to deer season, I put some stuff together, built a blind, or you call it a small little house, and drop it on that southwest corner of the plot, a little bit back. So a few things that I recognized: I didn't do an awesome job scouting the perimeter of the food plot to get a real good understanding of where buck bedding is, where doe bedding is, where you and I walk around the property, there's runs everywhere. Big ones, small ones, old sign, new sign, it's all over the place. And so I haven't designated that spot, and that's my only spot that I hunt so far on the property. Well, we did that. We hunted someone else's spot on my property, another person in the lease, a couple times this last muzzleloader hunt. But for the most part, this is my designated area. So what I've realized now is there's doe bedding around it, to the north of it. And it kind of all rolls out from overlooking the ridge line, the deer highway, and so they're always coming into the plot from the north. Most of the time, that's where does are coming in, either in the morning time, throughout the day, or in the evening.
Has that been consistent over the last 2 seasons, hunting seasons?
Last hour, I didn't hunt it 2 seasons ago. This is the first season I've hunted it.
Okay.
And so last hour, it's almost guaranteed. It'd be strange if they did not come in an hour and a half to 30 minutes prior to sundown.
I mean,
or shooting light down.
I was even surprised that they came in from that north side of that food plot, even after that afternoon we walked all in there. And
yeah, I think there's well, and after we went and searched, there's a lot of doe bedding all throughout there, and I think buck beds are either right behind it. There's some really thick vegetation back there, prickers everywhere. I mean, it's just it's real matted. I mean, it's just difficult to get back there, but it's also I think in a good spot where bucks can utilize overseeing down to the creek bottom. They can nothing can get in there without making noise, and so there's some good buck protection. And then it's also close enough to where does are bedding near these supplemental food plots throughout the property.
Nice. And I want to give Brandon some kudos here. So I experienced the Ohio property for my first time just a couple weeks ago, and when Brandon's talking about the changes in elevation, the ridge line, and it's no joke. And he built what, a 4x8, 8x4,
yeah, 4x8
by himself, no equipment. I think you had a wheelbarrow. And
once I did.
One time he had a wheelbarrow, and the rest was manhandling this wood and just all his equipment that he needed to build these things up this, I mean, crazy changes in elevation.
Yeah,
and
hundreds of feet.
Yeah, and then the day they did it, it was like 90 degrees.
90 degrees in July, I think I put it up there.
So I just, kudos to Brandon for accomplishing what he did, because it's a very nice blind, but just the changes in elevation there, just it's something I'm not used to.
Well, you and I go there, and it's wintertime. So there's leaves on the ground, but for the most part, you can see through a lot of area. It's still thick. But when I went there in July to go find the spot that, well, when did I go there first? I think I went there in May first to go put this blind, to start constructing this blind. And stuff had already grown back. And me trying to get down and find my food plot, 8,000 square foot food plot on this bench, I could not find it.
Yeah, you got lost,
for
didn't
30
you, or something?
minutes.
Or not lost, but like you just couldn't find it.
I'm pulling up Onyx. I can see like through the top that the top of the tree line breaks. I can see where it's supposed to be. I can physically not get back there.
Wow.
It was so thick. And I could not find the trail that I had used prior in February to get down there.
All right, so in this roughly 7,000 square foot food plot right now, are you going to keep that? Are you going to nurture it, do anything to that area? And then if so, what are you going to do? And then anything else around it?
So what I didn't mention, there's a huge pine line, or I mean, it's a nice, on one side of the gas line, it's a nice, I mean, several acres, tens of acres of pine, where I think they're coming down from. Some of them will bed somewhere back there. Some of them bed where I think where you and I were walking around, but they're all coming from the north into that food plot, and then either going back down to the, or continuing down to the creek bottom, and then over to this property to our south, which we don't. It's another group from Pennsylvania. They rent out, or they lease, I think 1,100 or 1,200 acres over there.
Wow.
So way bigger than our property, but I think they have a decent ag, and like the creek breaks up over there, and so there's some action. And I think that's where doe are going into, or they're going north, I guess, depending on.
So real quick, question came to mind. So the deer coming from the north funneling in, do you think that is a natural pattern and habit for them, or is it something that you've maybe done to create that?
I think, well, a little of both, and it just depends on, is it early season? So this is what I didn't take in consideration this year hunting this area. Early season stand, like early, like beginning first of bow, pre-rut, rut, and then your post-rut, and then that late season muzzleloader. Muzzleloader down in Ohio starts like January 2nd or something like that. Yeah, because we went down there on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So it's a big chunk of season. It's 130-day, 135-day bow season. So
135 days of bow hunting.
A lot of change in behavior you're dealing with there.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think about it. I'm like, hey, I got this awesome spot. Nobody's hunted it in 5 years. This food plot hasn't been attended to in 5 years. And so I just kind of dug in and put up a 4x8 small house and, went at it. And so one thing I didn't get done, I didn't get it up in the air as far as I wanted to. So I got one side up. I had to put it up 20 inches to even get it somewhat level to hunt. So the bottom part is 20 inches up in the air, and it's still like, it should be like 24 inches.
They're taking car jacks. I think that at that point you had a
two
friend
car
up.
jacks.
Oh my gosh.
So we got it all back there. We got the blind up. I'm just excited to hunt that area. So it was cool to see. I have some cameras set up and where things were going. You can bait in Ohio, so we did have a couple corn piles baited. So that probably takes into a factor of where doe are coming into and what they're seeing. Bucks seem to come from a few different areas. The mature buck is always either coming in from the north and facing where I'm hunting, which is fantastic, or coming up from the deer highway that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So before hunting season, I did create, based on what I was seeing from movement in the summertime, I did add or widen an area from the deer highway up to the food plot to make it very apparent. A big scrape and rub was built. I didn't do it. It was one of the bucks did it one night right after I did that, which was pretty cool. And then I added a better area to cycle in through from the north to the food plot. So I'm going to keep that food plot there. I'm going to expand it in the back a little bit where it starts to kind of ridge down.
Yep.
And I'm going to expand it up to almost all the way to the gas line. So it will come down on an edge, it will do let's say coming in from the gas line, it will make like a hard left into the food plot, and it will be like call it an 8-10 foot area that'll hopefully funnel them down easier from the pines, grazing, browsing into the food plot, and then continue down to whatever way they're going.
Nice. And so from our experience hunting together, I know you to love to climb up in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So you're currently right now you're hunting in your ground blind.
Yep. Well, it's like a built
blind. Yeah.
built
No, I
blind.
mean it's super nice.
Yeah.
So do you have any plans? And this ties into the whole, what are you going to do with this food plot and where it's going to come from, the gas line? Do you plan on putting anything else around there, as in a tree stand, or are you thinking about moving away from that area for another sit? Or
Yeah, no, good. So my blind that's only 20 inches up on one side, I plan on putting that 10 foot up from that area, and then 8 foot. So it'll be roughly 8 to 10 foot. And I say that because it's just elevation change, and set it back probably 10 yards.
And you want to set it back? Why?
I think I'm too close to the food plot.
Okay.
I want to be a little more hidden. I did knock down probably too many trees, but if I'm higher up, I'll have to do something about the base there, but I'll be higher up, I'll be further back, which will make it about a 50-yard shot to the edge of the north end of the food plot. And then being 10 foot up in the air, I'll be able to look over that ridge all the way down to the creek bottom for muzzleloader and rifle season.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, and obviously I'm sharing this with only a few hunts there. We definitely had deer coming up that ridge.
Oh yeah, I mean I heard them all early season, right when the leaves dropped and they're all crunching around. It's super exciting because I would be sitting there in the blind and you would just hear them like jumping up, and all of a sudden you'd see little antlers pop up, and then kind of look around and then continue to hop up, and I had a bait pile sitting right on that ridge. So you hear them either going straight up, or there is a diagonal road, like a little 2-track from back in the day, that they follow up and they continue over.
Great.
So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna probably do a tree stand depending on the wind, and just what was going on that day. East, so closer to the gas line. There's a couple of trees over there that I'm going to do a tree stand. So I'll have that option as up in the tree, or on the south west edge of the food plot, I'll have my my main area, what I built, and then about 600 yards up the gas line, there is, well, you and I walked back there, and there was just bedding all along there. I'm pretty sure it's doe bedding. I mean, we have no idea, but I plan on 600 yards up that gas line, which is still like a third of the, not even, of the way to the edge of to the end of the property. There's a couple areas in there that were either naturally, I gotta find out, but natural like opening areas with pines to one side, and a little bit of topography there where it's kind of like ridged out and elevation change. And then there's even further down, probably 1,000 yards, there's a natural, it used to be a road, I think back in the 60s or something like that.
Right.
It used to be a little area where I don't know what they were doing, but it's still logged out right there. And then it's a V, and one goes from an opening, and one I'm not really sure what it goes to, but I kind of want to be on that V in a tree stand. So tree stand there, tree stand where that pine line and opening is, and then I'll have the two areas over here, and all depending on wind and which way I want to be facing, and what's the best way in that day, morning sit, evening sit.
So speaking of heading into a sit, currently where you're entering into your blinds. So blinds facing north, we enter in from the east side. Yep.
Yeah, from the gas line.
Is that still like an ideal way in, or are you thinking of changing that?
I'm thinking of changing it, and I think especially after that last time we went in, when I went to go get, what was it, the seat or a cover or something like that from down there, I walked in and you said, man, you spooked a pretty big deer that just ran right by me.
Yeah.
I didn't even see it, didn't hear it, nothing. So, but I have spooked walking out of that in the morning. There was a nice buck that was in there, and I was walking up from my area to the gas line and spooked that thing. So at some point after I entered in, that deer came in and bedded basically at the entrance of my little walk path down to the spot. So I'm thinking, and I think it all depends on which way the wind's going that day, but I still think it's a good morning area. I would like to walk in, not from the gas line. I'd like to walk straight up that ridge.
Yeah, from the road.
It's going to be a hell of a walk.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm just going road straight up the ridge, directly into my area, and then let everything calm down, hunt that in the morning, and then do an afternoon move down to where more of the middle of the property where I'm talking about. And sometimes if you're either maybe go back there in the afternoon, it just depends, or evening, it depends.
I know there's a lot
we're
of
seeing.
Yeah.
I haven't put enough cameras down in that middle area, but it also hasn't been hunted in 5+ years. Nobody's touched it.
So are you planning on, so you have your current spot, and then you spoke briefly about these other two spots. And I do want to mention something about one of the other spots that Brandon was talking about. He's like, I got to show you this. And we walk off the gas line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we walked off the gas line and into a thick brush for a good, probably, I don't know, 30, 50 yards maybe. And then all of a sudden you see these beautiful row of pines, and I'm not talking just a row, I'm talking, acres of pines, and just it's just open, and just, it's all bedded down.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it. So, so you have your current spot and these two other spots. Is that something you're planning on doing like this year, or is this something over the next several years, or however long you hunt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put, it's a lease, so, and they have had it for 20 years, so but they are starting to sell off properties around there. So how much time are you gonna put into it? I still want to. I'm all in for this coming hunting season. I know we're gonna have it for at least this hunting season. So start off with cameras. I got to identify where these bucks are traveling. I mean, it's tough to see buck movement in the summertime because I don't think there's going to be a lot of it. But at least where the doe are going.
Yeah.
So try to pattern some doe movement. See where just a bunch of cameras over in that area. So I do plan on going down there in February, March, tracking through snow and seeing what the area is like, and then I'll decide where the stand placements should be in those 2 other areas, and then also start cutting down some, making room for that extended food plot up to the gas line.
Nice.
In my area.
What do you have any ideas yet? And maybe you don't. Do you have any ideas what you're going to start planting and when?
Yeah. So, I was just throwing some stuff around just to see. I haven't got the soil tested, so I don't know how much, what lime I should put down, but I did none of that. I just hand tilled a very small area of the food plot that hasn't been touched in 5 years, threw down some late season, a mixed late season blend, and it grew like neon. It looked neon.
It looked
green.
Almost unreal.
Yeah, like compared to everything dead around it. And I have pictures and tons of footage of deer. It's like a bullseye. Like, it's super thick around it. Then there's dead in this little food plot, and then this like little bullseye of green in the middle. And 3 deer are just like in this little like bullseye. And I'm like, well, if that can be a bullseye, I want the whole thing to look like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's just a late season blend. I think most of it was like clover, and whatever else in there. But I was thinking of doing like a clover, I don't know, rye mix. There's a lot of different things you can do, but it would be interesting to start coordinating with the other guys' food plots of how we can start doing like getting it ready for early hunting season, and then having some stuff left on the property funneling to our areas of late season feed.
Nice. Now when it comes to, so naturally the deer are already essentially funneling into this current area.
Yeah.
Are you going to make any changes to that, or is it one of those things, don't try to fix something that's not broken, or are you gonna change it?
Well, the two target bucks that come through there are, I think, massive in anybody's book. They're massive deer. Yeah, one is like one's a big boy, and he showed himself all through all through December. In the daylight for the first time, at least on my camera, which was awesome. Didn't see him when we were down there, but Brandon would ask me what my opinion and thoughts were on going to hunt certain spots, and every time he asked me, knowing that this massive buck was showing itself during the daylight, like the thought of going to hunt somewhere else was crazy to me, but I'm glad that we did. Yeah. I got to see some things we learned, but yeah, massive. Coyotes chasing away doe and stuff like that. But no, so those, obviously that area is attractive to that caliber or mature buck caliber. I mean, that's not a 3-year-old buck. That's an old soul walking around there. So and there's plenty of young bucks that came through there, and then other very good looking 8 points. I saw another 10 point, but these two in particular are attracted to that area. So I don't want to mess with it too much, but I do want to move that stand back. I'm thinking of maybe covering the bottom area with what's all matted down right now, where my blind is. Put like switchgrass or something like that right there. Not that they're going to eat that. It would just cover up kind of what the. So knowing what I know now about just the movement and cameras, what they picked up, and just the experience of sitting down there for a handful of times throughout the different parts of the season, I think I'm going to use that what I consider to be my main area is a late season spot. I don't think I'm going to touch it during bow season. Nice. And that decision is why? Well, some I think bucks start coming in there around October. One of those main target bucks was there most of the summer once I put cameras out there. Yeah. Showing himself every once in a while, daylight, evening, and then kind of disappeared a little bit, and then popped back out after the rut and kind of switching over with that big guy. But I just, way more movement with these big guys were coming out after November.
After essentially the first rut.
Yeah, so September, October, during those early season bow, just tons of doe. So I might as well just and a lot of small bucks, small spikes, 4s, that 7 that kept popping up all year. There's little tiny 8s, just a lot of spikes and 4s. Tons of doe though, and so we're just gonna keep that as like an off limits area. Let them keep using that as a staging area, whether they're going across the road or just a pass through one of their meals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then not touch it until sneak in from the road, climb up that ridge line, and hopefully get it done. I guess it's still bow season in November down there, but it's rut. So yeah. I'll hunt the rut there, and then rifle and muzzleloader if I haven't got it done by then.
2 more questions. So where you're currently hunting, what do you think your biggest opportunity is right now? Like work to be done. What do you feel is like your number 1 priority?
Number 1 priority is to get that stand up in the air. Just the way that food plot kind of does move up. So if you have deer sitting in the back, you're eye level with them right now, even though you're a little bit off the ground. So get that up and get that back. And then really make sure that the way I'm entering the stand is the correct way for whatever the wind and movement's doing that day.
Speaking of wind, so something I've noticed sitting in your blind, pretty much the only reason I knew is because of the burlap, but the wind shifts down there a lot.
Yeah.
Like almost does like a swirl.
Especially on that bench.
Yeah. I found that to be like, and it wasn't like it was super windy or anything. It just, you could tell by the burlap and the surroundings.
Yep.
That the wind was swirling down there. So it'll be interesting when you get that thing in the air, what that will do from not even a vantage point, but what it will do to.
What do I have down here? I still have buckwheat collected sitting in my truck.
Nice. Yeah. So this random comment here.
Or milkweed.
Yeah, milkweed. So this is a great resource, free, for checking wind. Oh my gosh, it's getting everywhere. A great resource for checking wind direction. So
yeah, you put this in a little container, and you throw it out during your hunt. Make sure wind is still in your favor. Make any corrections if necessary. But
only Brandon would have this on the side of his door. Awesome.
Well,
it's so funny.
The little pods that you can find out in the woods decided to open up, so nice. I got it now. But yeah, that's the biggest opportunity there. And then why I think further down or further north in the gas line is a good early season bow spot is because some of those pictures that I posted last year were from guys' cameras that were there. So where we were hunting and saw that coyote, some of the largest bucks on that property that were caught on camera were from that area. And so they're either coming from that pine line or they're coming up from the creek bottom. Either way, I think that second and third spot that are pretty close to each other will be great, just depending on what cameras.
Yeah. And last question, Brandon. Mm-hmm. What are you looking forward to the most? So it's January, right? We got a lot of things going on, for the first quarter, going into quarter 2, but specifically for deer hunting.
For whitetail.
Yeah, cannot wait. But what are you most looking forward to?
Most looking forward to is,
besides deer down.
A lot goes into a deer down, and arguably I would say that's just as exciting. Getting ready, putting in a lot of hard work in the off season, just getting out there and next month and looking for tracks and sign.
Yeah,
that's what I'm really looking forward to this first quarter. Finding the tracks and sign, and setting up cameras accordingly, and then making decisions based on that, where to hang stands for the upcoming season.
That was a really nice plug for Tracks and Sign.
Wow.
No, I mean he's been talking about Tracks and Sign before we even started this whole thing.
And it's wintertime now, so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get a thick snow and see where that movement's going.
We're fly fishing today. We're walking to a next spot, and we're talking about deer hunting. I was sharing with Brandon, like, usually this time of year, like I'm full blown, like, fly fishing, and pretty soon it'll be a really good walleye run to Detroit River. But I'm more excited for whitetail hunting than I've probably ever been. Like,
Well, we got turkey coming up too.
And turkey. Well, yeah. I'm really excited.
But here
for
we
turkey.
are walking with like all of our gear and super excited to go get steelhead, which is awesome to fish for. And we're like, oh man, that'd be a good deer spot over there.
Yeah.
Like just
literally.
It's no hunting around here, but just always thinking whitetail.
Always. Close this out. Tell everybody what's up. What do we got left?
It's wintertime. If you're in a state that has snow or a state that it's just off season for you, get out, find some Tracks and Sign, have fun, and put in the work. It'll pay off in a few months.
Yeah, I loved it. You guys be sure to check out our social media at Tracks and Sign. Check out our YouTube channel as well. Please subscribe. And also reach out to us as we're doing these videos. One of the reasons we're trying to put ourselves out there is to connect with like-minded individuals, people that know a lot more about everything we're talking about than we do, and we would love to talk to those people. So if you or maybe someone it would be interested or has some knowledge that they would like to share, please reach out to us at fishhuntfind@tracksandsign.com. And also, if you decide to check out our website and you do like our apparel, no pressure, but we do donate 10% of our sales to NDA/QDMA, and then also Ducks Unlimited. So we appreciate the support, and until next time, enjoy.